Welcome back to Scouting Movies. There are um, there are long movies out there. Um, I don't know how many movies can challenge this one for terms of length. We're talking about a movie called Little Dorrit, based on the novel by Charles Dickens back in the 19th century. This movie is over 6 hours long. I will repeat that. The movie is over 6 hours long. Um, it's broken into two parts. It was released as kind of a mini series type thing, where one part was released one week and the second part was released another week. But in terms of watching the full movie, you got to watch the whole movie. Uh, and so, yeah, I watched a 6 hour movie. Uh, it wasn't in one sitting. I didn't sit there for 6 hours and watch the whole thing, but you have to kind of evaluate it as a whole, and it's difficult to do. So yeah, buckle up, get ready to review a 6 hour movie with me here. So, what is Little Dorrit about? Have you read the book from Charles Dickens? Uh, when I say adaptation, that it was adapted from the novel, I'm obviously not meaning a Cliff's Note version here. It's practically page for page, maybe even comma for comma adaptation. Uh, the film is split into two parts. One is called Nobody's Fault. The second is called Little Dorrit's Story. Each runs about 3 hours long, and each tells the same general events, just from a different perspective. So, first, from Arthur Clennam's point of view, he's the quiet, haunted man played by Derek Jacobi, and then from the viewpoint of Amy Dorrit, a young woman who's lived her whole life in a debtor's prison with her family. It's not just a stylistic gimmick. There's a reason why it shows the same events happening from two different perspectives. It reshapes the way that we see the story, and by the end, you don't understand just the plot; you also understand the people involved. So, let's talk about the style and the pace of the movie. Let's be honest here. Let's get this out of the way. Little Dorrit is slow. It is a slow movie, like Victorian street lamp flickering in the fog, kind of slow. Scenes linger. There's little, if any, kind of score that is able to kind of distract us from the scene that's going on in what we're seeing. Dialogue unfolds like someone reading you a letter by candlelight. The whole thing moves with the deliberate rhythm of a grandfather clock that doesn't care how late you are or how late you want to be. Honestly, that's kind of the point, because Little Door doesn't want you to just watch the story. It wants you to settle into it, feel the weight of time, feel the silence between lines, let characters breathe. It wants you to get into the heads of these characters, especially when we reach the second part of the story, where we're trying to understand what it would be like to live your entire life growing up in a debtor's prison. It's not a bingeable movie. You're not going to sit down with popcorn because the popcorn is going to be done and you still have, you know, 5.5 hours left to go. It's a sit down, full course meal of a movie. It demands your attention the way that only Dickens can. Um, let's talk about the performances, some of the cast, the big three here. Um, I talked about Arthur Clennam, played by Derek Jacobi. Uh, he's he's less showy than some of the other characters that we'll talk about here. He's a man quietly crushed by secrets and silence. He's not the hero of the story, really. He's the witness. He's the moral observer, and he plays this role with a kind of resigned empathy that really sneaks up on you. At the beginning, he is um, he's trying to help out the Dorrits. He's trying to get them released from prison, and when he finally helps them do so, he himself is kind of uh, caught in a compromising position where he is now put in the debtor's prison because of the way that he helped the Dorrits out and wasn't able to repay the debts. And so then Amy Dorrit comes and visits him. He's this guy that's kind of this tragic figure. He has these secrets from a lot of different people, and he has to deal with the repercussions of what he has caused, both for himself as well as for others. Uh, and because even though he helps the Dorrits get released from prison, it's not necessarily a great thing because they are not ready to be released from prison. Mr. William Dorrit himself, which we'll talk about that performance in just a second. But um, he's not ready to be released because he doesn't understand what wealth means. Suddenly he's really wealthy and has all this class and station, and so Arthur Clennam has to think about what he's done and if it's a good thing. So Amy Dorrit, I mentioned, is played by Sarah Pickering, who you've probably never heard of because this was her only film role, believe it or not. She doesn't command the screen with big speeches or melodrama. She just exists softly, unshakably, kindly. She's the film's moral center. She's the most powerful performance in the film because she doesn't try to force anything. She just is. She is the moral compass. Everyone else is either making bad decisions or trying to make good decisions for the case of feeling good about themselves. There's nothing in Amy Dorrit for that. She wants to be a good person. She wants to be nice. She is nice. She is kind, and she has this secret uh, that carries the entire movie all the way through. That she has a love for Arthur Clennam, who also gradually realizes that he loves her as well. And so there's this kind of thing going on. And then let's talk about William Dorrit, who's played by Alec Guinness. Yes, Obi-Wan himself. He gives one of the most tragic, quietly devastating performances here. He's a man that's so used to the walls of the debtor's prison that when freedom does finally come, he has no clue what to do with it. He becomes a parody of wealth, desperate to prove that he belongs in high society, even as it slowly kills him, even as it slowly eats away at him, and he has no idea what to do with all of this money that he has. That he just starts spending it over and over again until he runs out of money. It's a tragic case. Uh, so um, I'll get into a few other things here. First of all, the decision to split the movie into two perspectives, first from Arthur Clennam and then from Amy Dorrit. It's bold because it's not written that way in Charles Dickens' novel. It's a pretty uh, normal structure for the novel from beginning to end, just showing a lot of different characters and how they interact in a chronological timeline. It doesn't work that way in the movie. It's the kind of bold, creative swing that really could have backfired, but it doesn't. It works in this movie. It adds emotional weight. Things that feel noble in part one suddenly feel like desperation, or or maybe have a tinge of regret or of a different sort of reason for doing those things in part two, and characters who were just uh, very far in the background in part one suddenly snap into big focus, and we see how they interact and how important they actually were to the story in part two. The repetition isn't redundant. It's revealing. It's a way of showing that no one has the full picture. No character has a full picture. We, as the audience, finally gradually get to see this full picture. That truth is slippery. That who's telling the story matters just as much as the story itself. And that's really, really impactful for a book that was this long and that was so introspective and so grand in that way. It's a surprisingly modern technique in a movie that otherwise feels like it's been soaked in candle wax since the 19th century. Technically, the thing looks great. It's stunning. It's not flashy. I've said that there's practically no score except at the very beginning and at the very end with the credits. Other than that, it's there's just no music whatsoever. Uh, every frame of the movie looks like it's painted. It is. It looks like you're on stage, like you're watching a theater production. The costumes are lived in. They're frayed. The sets are so good. There's a sense that this entire world has dust settled on it, and it fits the story perfectly. The sound design is quiet, minimal. It gives the I mentioned it feels like a stage. It feels like you're watching a play. Um, it's immersive in the way that old literature is. It's slow, methodical, atmospheric. So let's talk about the themes of Little Dorrit. Like most Dickens stories, Little Dorrit is about money, class, pride, and quiet injustices. But more than that, it's about how these systems itself break people. It's a uh, it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's sarcastic. It's a parody of these type of structures, class structure. What it means that you went from prison to suddenly being a person of high society, and how that completely ruins somebody, and everyone treats you different, and how that may not be such a great thing. It's about class. And how class is just so dumb itself, how poverty isn't just economic, it's emotional. How privilege can be just as much a prison as the actual walls of a prison. Uh, and how love survives in small moments and how kindness can speak in whispers. It's satire. That's the word I was looking for, by the way. Tragedy, it's morally palpable. It's kind of beautiful. Um, it's obviously not for everyone. It's because it's 6 hours and 10 minutes long, or however long it is. It's not easy to watch. It's not fast. It's not flashy. It's ambitious in a way that few literary adaptations have ever dared to be, because it tells the same story twice from two different perspectives, so that you understand the characters. It is a bold move from a screenwriter, Christine Edzard, who wrote and directed this film. It doesn't just translate Dickens; it inhabits it. It makes it palpable and understandable from different perspectives, and why that matters. Christine Edzard knows this story. She knows Charles Dickens backwards and forwards, and is trying to tell us what it means. If you meet it on its terms, it's rewarding. It's haunting. It's a deeply human experience. So the grade that I'm going to give Little Dorrit is a solid B. I again, just the nature of it, how difficult it is to sit through, how uh, how long and much of a time commitment it is, kind of lowers the grade just a little bit. But this film is really well done. And it's worth your time if you can, break it into 6 parts, or whatever you want to do, because it tells important satirical elements of class systems, and what it and how poverty and wealth are two sides of the same coin. That they can both be impactful in a very negative way, as well as sometimes wealth can be positive. It can also be negative. We all know that, and this just shows it from a Dickensian point of view. So that's Little Dorrit. Have you seen it? Have you made the effort to watch this 6 hour movie? Or did you check out halfway through part one? Let me know in the comments if you've seen this movie, or if you've read the book and what you've thought about the different things that this book and this story and Charles Dickens is trying to tell us all. Um, let me know what else you think about Dickens and all these other things. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Uh, and if you like deep dives into this types of movies, just shout it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.